Imagine living countless lives, each with its own story, its own challenges, and its own lessons. What if death isn't the end, but just another beginning? Hello, everybody, and welcome back to That's Not How We Do It Here. I'm Tara.
And I'm Kiara. Today we're uncovering something that challenges the very nature of life and death. We'll go through stories and beliefs that hint at lives beyond our own. Get ready to explore the fascinating and mysterious world of rebirth and reincarnation.
The topic of reincarnation and rebirth is like very trending. It's very deep, and there are a lot of things that we can go back and forth about this. But I would like to just begin with a small definition or explanation about what rebirth is. So, it's like a process of being born again after death in a new body. It doesn't necessarily mean the continuity of the soul or identity, and on the other hand, reincarnation, it's more specifically that it implies that the soul or the spirit is reborn into a new body after death and retaining some form of continuity of the self, or consciousness or the soul that was there previously. And also, the historical context of this is like, in Hinduism there are things like karma and dharma. So the law of cause and effect, like from the karma is like, first I'll talk about dharma. When you are born with a purpose that you have to fulfill, you have to do something, you have to achieve something. So that is your dharma. So if that's not fulfilled, then there's karma, due to which you'll be reborn again. And whatever you've done in your previous life, that will be implied on you as karma in your next birth. Now, in this, the cycle of rebirth is called samsara. And this is all my research, okay, guys? This is like samsara. And in Hindus, we believe that it's a continuous cycle of life and death and rebirth. And this is known as samsara. And the ultimate goal is to achieve moksha, or liberation from the cycle, through good karma and spiritual practice. In Buddhism, similarly to Hinduism, samsara is like the cycle of life and death. Then there's nirvana, and it's the ultimate goal to escape samsara and attain nirvana, a state of liberation and freedom. So these are this is the basic thing of what reincarnation, rebirth, and what it is in Hinduism and Buddhism. And there might be other cultures and religions also in which they believe this, but majorly it's emphasized on these two religions which I have seen. So now, Kiara, I want to ask you a question, because I know you have more knowledge about this than me. So I want to ask you a question like, why do you think people have so much trouble and they have so many problems in their life nowadays?
So, Tara, what I feel is that people are always so worried, like in today's generation. Before I get back to or talk about more about it in depth, I would say that when somebody is going through a lot of problems, on a lot of relationship issues, health issues, sometimes financial issues, and many other issues, like somebody is getting bullied somewhere or whatever issues, okay. In our olden times, in the ancient Indian culture, we always people, our Asian ancestors would say, "अरे इनके तो कर्म ही ठीक नहीं होंगे, इसीलिए it's going like that," which is true because there is a concept of reincarnation and very openly spoken about and very prominently visible in Hinduism. I'm not aware of other religions, but in Christianity, and I think even in a little bit in Islam, it's the reason why it is not spoken about a lot. Even if it was a part of it, is because people, the prophets, or the followers of Christ, and even Jesus, or people who wanted, there's a concept of heaven and hell, right? So in both of these religions, and I feel that the reason why they were not talking a lot about rebirth is because they didn't want people to think that they have a chance in the next lifetime they're going to they can do whatever they want, and then देखेंगे next lifetime का next time देखेंगे. So the reason why this hell and heaven was introduced or propagated, or told a lot, not propagated, sorry, wrong word, but like spoken a lot about, is because they wanted people to live a good life at the first time only, so that they when they finish this lifetime, they lived a good karma, and then they reach that moksha, I think, what you said, right, the word. Yeah, so something like that. Coming back to your question, is that why people are going and how people are dealing with their problems, they need to really understand the people who are troubling them the most. For example, children who have parental issues, daddy issues, mummy issues, they have sibling issues, they have boyfriend issues, husband issues, or any such issues they are having. Maybe they have a problem with somebody who's working in workplace, and they've fought with that person or something like that. All of these people you have met in one of your past lives. All of these
Oh my
people, including your parents, including your siblings, including your friends, all the well wishers who are there in your life. They were your well wishers even before. They could have been in any form. They could have been your parent in some of your lifetime, and now they are your friends. Or they would have been your aunt or uncle or sibling, and they are your friends now. So they are the well wishers, and that's how you get these people now. So, talking about karma and talking about how rebirth and how this happens, of course we'll get into it more deeper, as I've read books about it. But what I want to say is that when you're having a tiff with somebody, or when you're having a problem with somebody, always remember that have you done something to this person, maybe in your last life, and that is why you've got this person. Because God is trying to teach you to learn to forgive, to forget, maybe if possible, but more importantly, to deal with that situation that you're going through.
Hmm. Right. Oh
So,
my God. Now that you say all this, it's like making so much sense. Because, sometimes without any reason, like for example, okay, workplace and this and that is understandable because you're going meeting them on a daily life and things like that. But sometimes you, without any connection, without anything, without no logic, you meet a person or you just see a person and you feel like, wait, did have I met this person before? Is this something, there's some kind of a nostalgia that you feel like, okay, either this thing is repeating, or either this person I've met, either there's some connection. You might have never seen that person ever in your life. In this life you've never known, or you've never even not even had a glance, not even a photograph maybe. But then you see this person, you look at this person, and you feel such a strong connection with that person, like there is something relatable, or maybe it's in a positive way, like oh my god, or maybe it's like oh my god. Both the things, the same thing I'm saying, oh my god, but the way I'm saying it, it's like if one is a positive feel, like oh my god, wow, why am I having such a good feeling about this person?
yeah.
And other times you feel like I need to stay away from this person, even if you don't know him or her. You feel such a strong connection that maybe something wrong he or she did in your past life with you, or maybe you've done something, so your guilty conscience is making you feel that way. You never know. It's so damn scary when you think of something like that. And it has happened. I mean, not if not a person, but a situation. I felt like this is repeating. Has this ever happened before? Am I walking the same road the same way I've walked sometime? It feels, and there's no explanation for it. You think, and then you think, you maybe I've gone few months back or few years back I've walked, but then you go through that road again, and you feel like, no way, I've never been here, but why am I feeling like I've been here?
Hmm.
you know have you ever felt that
Yeah.
connection, a person or a place?
Yes, yes, of course, I have experienced this with a person and with the place. That there's a place you have a calling towards, or there is a person that you just met and you clicked, as if you've known this person forever. And this usually happens with friendships, or it happens in love relationships a lot. It happens as if वो होता है ना कि व्हेन पीपल से कि ऐसे तुमको मिलके ऐसा लगता है कि मैं तुमको पहले से जानती हूँ या पहले से जानता हूँ, दैट यू माइट थिंक इट्स क्लीशे बट इट इज अ रियल फीलिंग, यू
A
नो.
twin flame.
A twin flame. In tarot reading, they
Yeah.
say it like a twin flame. They call it soulmates,
Yeah.
and they have maybe more two, three terms which might be used in tarot reading. But what it is like you meet and you feel like you've known this person forever. You know this person, and there could be a possibility that you might know what is happening in their life without even them telling you. Suddenly,
Yeah.
you know, you'll say something about them, about their life. Are you going through this or something? And that the person will be like, "How did you know? You know, how did you know?" It's, and they will feel like, oh my god, are you what, like, are you a magician or what? But then you know that there is some connection with this person, and there is a pull towards that person, you know, towards that person. And also talking about a place, like you say you have deja vus and all of that, that is different. But like for example, if you there's a calling towards London, for example, then there could be a possibility that you've lived in London in one of your past lives, or you've you know, you feel connected to some kind of religion. Maybe you feel connected to Hinduism if you are another religion, or if you feel connected to like Buddhism or something other. So there could have been a possibility that you would have been practicing that religion in one of your past lives. So that is something that is so fascinating. I recently had come across one thing, that one person was constantly feeling like, you know, removing the whole hair, like going bald. So that person, and when that person went through this past life regression, there's something called as past life regression, where you know, you can go through what memories you have, so of past life. So in that way he understood that he was a monk in one of his past lives, and that is one of the reasons why he keeps feeling like removing all his hair
Oh.
and being alone. And you know, he likes his silence. He likes being you know, left out or something like that, because he's experienced that in one of his past lives. So
Hmm.
yeah, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, also when if you talk about, there are lots and lots of stories out there on the internet. Before you come, before I, because I'm so interested, I know the story already that you've told me about the book that you've read. Because, but I really want the listeners to listen, because I remember when Kiara was telling me the story, I had goosebumps. I couldn't believe all this. But then also there are so many stories out there on the internet, and
Mhm.
one of the most famous ones is the one of Shanti Devi.
Yeah, I know,
If
I
you've
know.
heard.
I know, I've heard this story. It is of Madhya Pradesh, if I'm not wrong.
No, Shanti Devi was born in Delhi
Uh-huh.
in 1926. Okay,
Hmm.
and then she started recalling things from like very young. She was,
Young
I think,
age. Mm-hmm.
4 5 years or something. She was so deliberately or desperately telling her parents that you guys are not my parents. I don't know why am I living here. I want to go back to my husband and things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And her parents were like, you are just 4 years old. You can't have a husband. What are you talking about? This all doesn't make any sense to us. So then she exactly said that, I used to live in Mathura, and this is the place I used to live in. This is my address, and this is the name of my husband. And, I need to visit him. I need to visit him. And she started throwing all these tantrums, and she was so cranky and she was so depressed. A 4 year old child, I'm not sure about her age, but she was very young, very
Yeah.
small. So
Mm-hmm.
then her parents decided, okay, if she's being so persistent about what she's talking, let's trace her tracks and let's go to where she's pointing us towards, and then we'll see what where this leads to. So then they started this journey. They exactly followed her directions, and when she entered that village, so her parents started asking the villagers about the this previous name that she had mentioned was Lugdi Devi. Her name was Lugdi Devi in her previous life. So her parents started asking the villagers that, did you guys know who Lugdi Devi is? Can you tell us where she lives? So the villagers were very shocked. Like after like so many years, how can someone come asking for her? And they were like, yeah, there is someone called Lugdi Devi over here, and it was a very remote village, nothing like so
Mm-hmm.
famous also. So then her parents decided, okay, let's ask her for the directions to go to the house. So she exactly directed them to their house, and they were shocked. And when they all entered the house, so her parents explained this whole story to the family, and on the other side, Shanti Devi urf uh, Lugdi Devi was so happy, and she was like, "I'm so happy to be here. I'm so excited to be. This is my home. This is where I belong." And she was like, "I need to meet my husband and all." So they wanted to test her. So for testing her, they um, I think they got another person, another guy, her husband's brother or someone like that, in front of her, and she said, and they said that this is the guy whom you're talking about, your ex-husband or your husband or whatever. And she instantly said, "No, don't do this to me. This is not my husband. I know how my husband looks like." And they all were shocked. They were like, "Oh my god." And then the real husband comes and sits, and she goes and she hugs him and she cries, and she even says that, I have kept a few savings or few money. I've placed them here and there in the house. You can go and check. I've hid them. So the people go and they check, and they get, small potlies or bags of money,
Yeah,
uh, and where she's saved. And they all were so shocked. And then we come to know that she was pregnant, and while giving birth she passed away.
right.
So she was logging for her child, she was logging for her family. So she was, she couldn't, this thing was not fulfilled, her destiny was not fulfilled. So that is why this is one of the most famous incidents of India that I have heard. I'm sure you've also heard about this.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I mean, when I read about this, I was like,
There are
how can
pictures
this
available on Google.
Yes, I've seen her photos.
Yeah, there are
And
pictures
this is such
available.
a old 1968 or something. It's so like,
Yeah, it's very old. Like black and white
yeah,
maybe pictures are there, and
yeah,
the girl, I think the parents decided the girl to be with her husband because that is what she wanted, and then the
yeah.
whole family ka picture and all was there. I've seen that pictures.
It must be so hard for the parents, her
Parents,
parents, to like
yeah.
go through all of this. And
Mhm.
it must be even scary and horrifying for them to, feel like, okay, she remembers her past life, and now what's going to happen with her. So it's very scary also.
Yeah, it's very scary because people always think ki, I think a lot of people initially it was not talked about a lot about rebirth. Recently, yes, people are talking a lot about it, and they're literally going for past life regressions. So
Yeah.
I want to talk about ki how past life regression it is a part of healing. It is a part of healing, which mostly is done by psychologists or psychiatrists, professional psychiatrists, if not psychologists, mostly psychiatrist people. And it is done in a way where people are, there's a way of doing it where you are like it's like a meditation kind of a thing to give you a gist of what exactly happens, and then the doctor will let you go through your memories of childhood and many things like that. So in that way you will understand, okay, what went wrong where, something like that.
There's a movie in Tamil,
Tamil,
Anegan,
yeah,
of
Dhanush movie,
Dhanush
and
one. Dhanush, yeah.
yeah, I know.
Anegan. When I think I was like, what, very young when I watched.
Yeah.
I was in school, maybe, I think, when I
Mm-hmm.
watched it.
Right.
And it was, when I watched it, I don't know, I loved it. To some points, I really liked, because I saw the actress. I don't remember her name, but she
Annie
was
Hall.
going through,
Hmm.
yeah, maybe she was going through this
Mhm.
psychological session. She was going through this therapy session in which she was laying, and the doctor was, trying to get information out of her for wrong reasons. Of course, the
Mhm.
movie, if you guys watch, I would, if you guys want to know more about rebirth, and want to have a movie type experience, I would recommend you guys to watch Anegan. It's a Tamil movie with Dhanush in it. You'll get a glimpse or an idea of how, obviously it's a movie, so there are a lot of things that they are over exaggerated also, but you can watch so that, you relate to what we are speaking. But in that movie also, like, there are a lot of scenes in which she's laying down, and then there are things on her head, and the uh, therapist or the psychiatrist is asking her questions, and she's going deeper, she's so into it that she's getting all these visuals, and then in real she's crying, like tears are
Mhm.
falling down her eyes in real, unconsciously.
Mhm.
But then she gets some tablets or whatever for whatever reasons. But in that, so many, not one, not two, there were like three to four past lives that they were showing. So I was like, so many past lives, I was like, wow, I didn't know. And everything was incomplete, every life was incomplete in some or the other way, which is why she was, being born again and again and again and again. So this makes so much sense that you said about the psychiatrist thing, how they try to get this out. It's so amazing that humans can do this now because of the study and level of research people are doing.
Yeah, and initially it was considered a myth that this past life thing and everything is a myth. But then there were researches done. There were a lot of patients who had a lot of pain, you know, not just emotional, but they had some sort of anxiety, they had some sort of feeling. So I think it is scientifically proved too that yes, there is something called as past life. The psychiatric world is now moving towards the soul journey and how you feel about things. Before it was very much very logical and very practical, but now the studies have shown, and there's an upgradation in psychiatric studies, that they are now focusing more on how your life would have been in the past lives. All of these are taking into consideration while even a child is, or a person who's pursuing psychology or psychiatrist.
Oh, yeah, I mean, exactly. A lot of new research, and scientifically, there are a lot of research going on. And I remember I was listening to this podcast or something. I was watching a video in which it was not of India, it was about some Virginia University or something like that. There was a professor who the government over there gave him millions and millions of dollars to do research and prove that it is wrong. It's a myth. To prove it, like they are not telling him to give false information, but the money they it was provided to him was, we want a proof, or we want proofs to prove to the world that this is rubbish, this is not there. So he took the offer and he was like, okay. And then he started doing research, and year after 2 3 years of research, he came to a conclusion that this is true. He couldn't prove it that it's wrong or it's false, and he had to give the proofs to the government, and he told them that, I can't give false information, it's true.
Hmm.
So the government also acknowledged it,
Hmm.
because he had done so many case studies with proofs. He had done these sessions with people, and he had been in the sessions with people, and he was taking down notes, he was doing so much research, and there were so many proofs, not like verbal proofs, visual proofs, like people actually doing stuff, something similar that they have done in their previous life, doing it the same way, or a particular birthmark on a body, where you can say that, this birthmark was not just because it's a birthmark, it's because of their previous life. Or whether like the Shanti Devi incident, there were other incidents in Thailand also. There was a guy, he was a kid, and one day, all of a sudden, when, like, obviously when you're very young, you don't have a lot of idea about a lot of things. But once he became a teenagerish, something like that, so they were traveling, and all of a sudden, on the back of the scooter, he was with his dad, and he started crying really loud, and he told his father that this is exactly where I was killed.
Oh my
And
God.
his father was like, what do you mean you're alive? He was like very scared. He said that, in my past life, I was a professor, and I was going through this road, I was walking, and there was these bulgars who came, and they just shot me, and I was dead. I was shot dead. So there were proofs. Then, when the person who was researching,
Mm-hmm.
he came across the story, he went and he traced the news, and he found out that, oh, this has actually happened. A man had died over here in this way with this. He told, here were my bullets, everything he was telling, this is where I was shot, and all of it. So because of so many case studies and visual proofs that it's not a myth, it's true. So scientifically, people are so interested, like you said, and there are so many different type of methods and technology and processes that people are doing to get all these information related to their past life out there. But enough of that. I'm so excited. I want to re-listen to your whole book story, guys. I'm not hyping this up. I'm telling you, it was a very, very interesting story for me. So I would like Kiara to do the honors and let us know about what she read in that book, because trust me, I am not overhyping it. It's very interesting.
Okay, Tara. So even I'm excited to tell it all over again because every person, mostly whomever I can have a long talk with, and is going through some or the other problem in life, I make sure that I say this story to them so that they understand what actually maybe they are going wrong where. So the story is about, it's a book that I read like about 2 years ago, and it is by a doctor called Dr. Brain Wiss. He is a psychiatrist, and he wrote this book about a woman who had come to him with some issues of anxiety. So the story starts as like this woman called Catherine. She was working in this hospital, in a library of the hospital, where doctor was practicing psychiatry, and she was working in library as something, and she used to have conversations with people in the hospital and all of that. And there was this one doctor from another department who was a very good friend of hers. So this woman had anxiety, a lot of anxiety, so much anxiety, and she had a lot of problem with her husband. That is her current husband, who was abusing her domestically. There was domestic abuse, there was verbal abuse, there was emotional abuse that she was going through in this marriage. Initially, it started with a very beautiful, like a love story. Then they got married, and after a few time, he started drinking and he started troubling her a lot, hitting her, beating her, all of that. And she used to come with marks to a hospital. That's how bad it was. And she didn't know how to get out of this situation because she had issues since childhood. She had some sort of issues which she did not know because she was always running away from her home. She always wanted to stay away from her home. So she didn't want to meet her parents a lot and all of that. She just wanted to live her own life and all of that. So this doctor who was her friend knew that she needs counseling, she needs therapy, and he oftentimes told her about this psychiatrist doctor, that is Dr. Wiss, that you should go and visit him and all of that. And one fine day she was just walking on the street, okay, and she was just at a very weak situation. She was very weak. She was very weak, and she did not feel good about anything. And the doctor saw her walking, and he was in the car or something, and he, while passing by, he just told her that I don't know, but I have booked an appointment for you. So please be there at this doctor's office at so and so time. He's a very good friend of mine. I've already told about you to her, and I want you to be there. Just go for one session, and then rest you decide whether you want to do it or not. So with a lot of confidence, and she decided that, okay, this doctor's told me and all, but she didn't want to go. Literally, she didn't want it to be there. But then she said, okay, now he's said so much, and because of the friendship that they had, so she said, okay, I'll go and visit this doctor. So when she visited this doctor, the initial things, Dr. Wiss was going through her the whole examination and everything, and he found out that she has some sort of anxiety, and she has maybe hypertension, all of that. And then she said, okay, these were the basic symptoms that were detected in her. And then after the first session, he asked her to come for the next session. And I think she did not appear for the second session or something. But then after that, she faced some anxiety by herself. So she thought that she should go back to the doctor. Then she came back to the doctor at some other point, or not when it was supposed to be her next session, but after a few days she came back. And then after like 3 4 sessions of her this therapy, it was not helping her, and doctor was worried. He was like, why? Because he was the head of department. He was like, how is this possible that I'm not able to help this woman with her anxiety issues and with her problems, that she's in a toxic marriage and she's not able to come out of it. What is the issue? Why is she not having that courage to do that? Okay. And then suddenly he says okay, and then he helps her in some other session. He calls her back, and then he says that okay, we'll do this session of meditation. So he wanted to know whether she had been through something in her childhood. So what happens is that when you are like around 1 to 3 or 4 years, there is a memory, okay, which when you grow up, this memory is not very active in your brain. You can't remember what you were when you were a baby till maybe 4 years or something. So your brain knows it, but you can't remember it. So he wanted to know whether she's gone through some sexual abuse, or she's gone through some sort of emotional trauma that might have happened around her while she was a kid, and that is why it's affected her. So he just wanted her to go back to her core memory of childhood. But during that time, she, instead of going to her childhood, of course she went to her childhood, but suddenly she says something like 1800. Okay,
Oh
and
my
this
god.
and this is happening in like 1980s. Okay, this situation is happening in 1980s, but she's in 1800 century.
Oh
Okay,
my god.
and she is visualizing herself, or she's explaining something, and the doctor is like, what is she talking? For a moment he thought maybe she's just, out of sight, or she's just lost track or something. But then she started saying something, and then he started writing it. He just started writing whatever she was saying. He was like, okay, she can see this, she can see that. And then she says, and then she just gets very anxious, and she just comes out sweating, like she starts sweating, and then she just wakes up. And then he says, what did just happen? And then he asked her after the session, did you watch any movie? Did you watch any old movie? Or did you go through any newspaper or any magazine that were about whatever you're talking about, 1800? She said, no, nothing. I'm not doing any research. I'm not doing anything. Nothing, nothing, nothing. And then she is now a little better than what she was when she came to him. Yeah, so after that session, he let her go home, and he was very confused. He said, what is happening? How can she go into some other lifetime? What is wrong? Is she haunted? Because this doctor is from he is a Jewish doctor, like he comes from Jewish religion. So for him, he thought maybe it's an enemy, or it's like a devil or something like that. Okay, so he did not understand what it is. She possessed? But he's a doctor, so he can't think in that way. Like, so after that session, he let her go, and he wanted to do some research, and he was thinking, what is wrong? How is this possible? Then, after a point of time, while he was trying to, go through his studies that he studied till now, and all of that, and then he was like, okay, let me do her one more session, and he was really, eager to meet her the next time. And meanwhile, she was feeling a little better. She was a little better with her anxiety. So she went for an exhibition where they were talking about some, the person who was hosting it was talking about some Egyptian thing. Okay, and he said a year and something about some situation about Egypt, and she corrected him saying that this is the wrong information that you're giving. This was not that year, this was this year.
Oh god.
And at that moment, she herself felt a lot of chills, like something very different, something she did not feel. And she said, and he said, yes, ma'am. He actually went through that information that she gave him, and he apologized for giving wrong information. And he said, yes, you are right, and I am wrong. And after that session is when she realized that she needs to go back to the doctor. Okay, because initially she was just going it because her friend had asked her and all of that. But later, after this incident, she became so sure. She's like, now I want to go to the doctor. She goes to the next session, like she's before time. She's before time over there, and she's waiting for the session to get started. And she's waiting to tell the doctor that this is what happened. And doctor asks her that, did you see anything on the television or in the news, or did you read any magazines again? That you might subconsciously, sometimes we read something and we forget, but our mind captures that information. So it could be a possibility that you might have read. So she denies. She said, no, not at all. Then he asked her, have you ever read it in your childhood, about Egypt or something that might have been a very fascinating thing for you, and that's core memory, or that something might have stuck in your head, and that's why you're asked. So she says, no, I've never ever been interested in Egypt since childhood. Okay. Then he says, okay, let's do this. Okay. Again, he does her, he lets her get into that session of past life regression. And then basically, it was what he was doing was getting her back into her childhood memory. So she is now going back into her childhood. And while doing during all of these sessions, he knew that she did not have a good relationship with her father and not very good relationship with her mother either. So she during her sessions he understood that okay, she has parental issues, and that is one of the reasons why she moved on early from her home outside her house. And after that she was studying, and she was dating men and all that, and then she met this guy, like it was like a love at first sight or something, and then they started dating, and then they got married very soon. And later, this person's personality started coming out, which was very disheartening for her. So, this was a session. But while she was doing the past life thing right now, she goes into her childhood and she discovers that her father had touched her inappropriately.
Oh no.
And her father had molested her in childhood, which she may not have that memory of, or she knows the feeling but she has forgotten how it happened. And that is one of the reasons why the father, whenever he used to look at her, he used to get angry, because he had done something in the childhood to her. And while she grew up, whenever he saw her, it reminded him of what he did to her. And that's why he used to keep criticizing her, telling her you're not good enough and a lot of things. But actually he had done something wrong to her.
So wait a minute. So you're telling me that the father was also the same father she's had?
Yeah, मतलब this is her current life, what I'm talking about. The current life में ये
Oh.
situation हुआ था that her father was her childhood molester, and her mother somehow knew it, but she did not respond to it, or something like that happened, due to which she became distant to her family.
Oh.
And it happened at a very young age, like maybe
Okay,
she would
okay,
have been
okay.
under 5 years or something like that.
Oh my
Okay.
god, that's really messed up.
So
I mean,
because
I've heard this story before, but still now when I'm listening to it all over again, it's still like so new to me still, and it's
yeah.
feeling like so messed up.
Yeah. And then while she was going through, okay, now doctor has understood, okay, she had some childhood trauma due to which she is distant to her parents, and due to which she has attracted a marriage that is not that good, and she's compromising in that marriage because she thinks that she's not worthy of love.
Oh
Okay.
no.
So this is what psychologically of current life was the situation. And doctor was like, okay, now we are fine. Okay, now he's like, okay, maybe that the previous session was just something that might have happened, and this Egypt ka thing, something she might have seen and she's forgotten. That's why. And suddenly, while in the session, she again goes into some different era. She is describing herself. She's describing her clothes. She's describing that she's a black woman and she has this goldenish kind of hair, and she's a maid, and she's not smelling that good. She's not wearing good clothes, and there's a big palace that she's working in for. All of that description. And now the doctor is again confused. He's like, now she went in her childhood. Now suddenly she's gone back. Where? In which? Then he asks her the date. And she again says something 17th century or something like that. And now the doctor is getting scared because he's like, he's never had this experience. Even though he's a head of department over there, still he's not able to trace it. Now after all of the session, he lets her come out of the session, and he now is very much into what exactly this is. He lets her go and he tells her to come back for the next session. And meanwhile, he goes through his all the studies. He goes to the library. He goes and talks to the doctors of his department, everything. And then he comes across the term called past life regression. So what he was trying to do was just getting her into the memory of her childhood, but actually she went back to other memories of her past life. And now he came across this because he had definitely studied about it in his education, but he did not know that it is actually something real. Then he did more digging into that thing, and then he came across one doctor who's got more than 2000 patients who remember their past life.
What?
And they had come to that doctor for some sort of anxiety, some sort of alcoholism, some sort of addiction, or all these psychological issues. They had come to this doctor, but Actual problems were 2000 cases in 1980s about past life regression, which were already detected. Now, now the now she comes back. Okay, now she comes back to the session, and the doctor is still in disbelief. He does not believe anything. Now in this session, okay, is one of the most devastating thing that could have ever heard, because for him he started doubting his own whole education system, okay, of what he studied. So she's in this session, and she's gone back to something, and suddenly she tells about the name of a child, and he says, what? He knows this name. And she says, doctor, you've had twin children, am I right?
Oh
and
my god!
and he becomes numb. He does not understand what she's trying to say. She says that there you had these twin children, and they passed away within like a very short period of time after they were born, and twin children, or maybe one son or something like that. And he had some physical issue, that child had some physical issue which was very rare in that point of time. And her they had named that the doctor had named that son's name or the child's name on his father's name. So he was shocked because he did not have the picture of his family on the table anywhere in the department. Nobody in the whole hospital knew that the doctor had gone through certain situation in his lifetime with his wife, because they it was so private that they did not talk about it a lot. And he started crying. The doctor started crying because he was not because that memory was something that they didn't want to talk about. They don't talk about even as a couple.
Mm.
And she said that you don't have to worry, that your son is fine, but that son has already passed away.
Yeah.
So
Then
he could
how?
not believe. Yeah, so he could not believe. He's like, how do you know this? Then she says that there's a master who's talking to me right now and who's told me this.
Okay, this is really creepy right now. It's creepy.
So let me explain. While she is in this regression, now there are planes as in there are phases, you can say, layman language, that there are phases. So when you pass away, you go through different stages of your soul journey. Okay. Now there are people who are stuck in one plane, the first plane. They are not very good souls. They are
Okay.
people who may destroy you, or they may either wish good for you. Okay. And then there are other planes where people are, they're protecting, so there are many different planes of it, out of which there is one plane where they guide you. Okay. They are your guidance. For example, it can be your grandfather. It can be your any one member of your family who has not got a rebirth, but is watching over you, is protecting you, or is giving you signs that this is what has happened, because they can see what is happening in the real
Okay.
life. So this person who was talking to her was one of the masters of the plane, who told her about Dr. Wiz, that this is what they went through, and their child is happy and is fine and has not yet had the rebirth. So he's
Okay.
fine, like that. After that session, the doctor decided that now this is not something that is unreal. Now going to go deep into this. Okay. Then he went sessions after sessions with her, and then he came across that she used to always feel like she used to feel like as if she's drowning, or
Mm.
she's feeling like they used to suddenly she used to feel something in her neck, like like a press in her neck, or like a choking feeling. Okay. Now one of her sessions where she can see herself on the deathbed. She's on the deathbed. It's a very old house of stones and everything. She can see her family, her children, their children. She can see, and then in that situation, as she's like about to die, she can spot somebody. She spotted somebody. She saw her uncle,
Okay.
and that uncle was her present life best friend who suggested her to go to the doctor.
Oh wow. Wow. Okay.
So this person was talking to her because he loved her because she was maybe her his sister's daughter or something like that, and he had taken care of her in that life, and that is how that person has appeared in her present life. And while she was going through her problems, he asked her to go to this doctor and see the doctor. So that
Wow.
is how it was related. Now, while she's feeling better, she's now confident, she's feeling a little better about her life, and her husband is thinking, what is wrong with my wife because she's not getting suppressed by me, all of that situation is happening. In one of her next sessions, what happens is she sees herself in like a sack cloth, okay, like she's in a sack kind of a attire, and it is dark, and it is she's stinking, everyone around is stinking, they're smelling, some sort of smell is there. They're in a boat and they're going towards some place, and there is some sort of fear in the environment. They're talking about something, or something is happening. They have weapons with them, very old weapons they have, not something that was, it is very very old thing, okay.
Okay.
Now now they come back, they come near the seashore or something, they land, okay, and there is a fight, there is like a war kind of a place, like there are two communities fighting with each other kind of a thing. They're fighting and she's also fighting, she doesn't like the bloodshed, she can see people dying right in front of her eyes, there's a lot of blood on the on the floor, you can say, on the sand, and she's not liking it, but then she has to protect herself, so she's not killing anyone, she's trying her best to not to hurt anyone, but everyone around her is protecting themselves by killing the other person, okay.
Okay.
And then suddenly somebody holds her from behind, okay, somebody, and she can't move, she's not able to move, she's like, I can't move, I can't move, I can't move. And when and suddenly her throat is slit,
Oh no, my God. No way.
and she feels that choke. Can you imagine
Oh
the
my God.
choke? Okay, the choking feeling, what she feels in her present life is because of this, because she's had experience in her past life. So when she turns back as she's been slit, it's her husband, it's her current life
No, no way. No. That's so sad.
that
That,
she was slit by her current life husband, who was in her past life, who had killed her.
no, that's really sad. So terrifying, man. I can't even imagine what she might be feeling at that point when she was even describing all this.
Yeah. And in one of her another, now she understood, okay, in one of like during the session she understood that, okay, you know it is my time to forgive him,
Mm.
because I have been I have been holding that grudge towards this person because he killed me in one of the lifetimes, and God has given me the situation. So I have to make sure that this relationship is good, so that I don't have to meet him again in the next life. Because until unless you solve that your problem with certain person, you're going to keep meeting them every
Oh
lifetime.
no. Oh, this is like, oh my God, I don't know how many people I have to forgive then. I have a list now.
So,
Oh no.
and a very weird story was that one of her life situation was that she used to often feel like she's drowning or something like
Mm.
that. She used to have dreams of this. So in one of her past life situation, she literally visited more than 100 or something lifetimes
Oh
in
no.
her session. And in one of the lifetimes she was in a very beautiful place, it was so beautiful, like she's describing the leaves, the golden, she's wearing a very pretty gown, something kind of that, and she's having a beautiful life, okay, she's very happy, and she has a daughter. And suddenly they feel a wave of water, there is a tsunami
Oh
kind of
no.
situation, and she's holding her daughter very tight, okay, because she doesn't want her to drown. But in that tsunami, she of course loses the touch of her child, and she loses her child, and she can see the child, okay, she can see that image of the child and everything. And while she loses the touch, she's drowning because she's guilty that she could not save her child, and that is exactly the feeling that she has as nightmares in current life. But the weird part is, the child that she saw in her dream as her own child is her best friend's daughter in this lifetime.
Oh, so sweet. That is sweet. Oh my God. Oh.
So that is how she felt connected towards people and situations. And the story ends in a way where she's healed completely, and she she's made a mind to get out of the relationship, and her husband also has changed a lot with because of her therapy. And at the end, what the doctor says is that, of course, he has many books to it. The book is called Many Lives, Many Masters. You can go and read it. So this, what he says is that you have to be very careful of your karma,
Yeah.
of how you talk to people, how you treat people, how you behave people, because these people are going to come to you either in this lifetime or in the next lifetime to haunt you, to
Yeah.
trouble you, to create problems in your life. Because if you want to reach moksha, which is in Hinduism, in
Yeah.
other religions it's called as heaven, where you want to be free of all the emotions that a human feels, you have to be that forgiving, that loving, so that you are able. It's almost like when people say, oh, please, I can't forgive, I'm not God,
Yeah.
right? But that is what God wants you to be. He wants you to forgive people. He wants you to love people unconditionally. He wants you to not to have grudges with people, so that you can reach Him or moksha very soon, and you're free from all the worldly desires.
So you are telling me that if I don't, I have a lot of people, okay, to forgive, but you're telling me if I don't forgive that person, maybe in my next life, these people will come back in my life.
Yeah,
But if I
will.
forgive them, so they
Hmm.
won't be like coming back to trouble me.
No. So what happens is, for example, there is a bad relationship that ended, okay, in a very bad way. Okay, for example.
Mhm.
Now the boy and the girl, no matter how much they've tried to work out the relationship, but they've always had fights, 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 and they've moved apart in a very negative energy. Even if they've said, I'm sorry, but there's a negative energy and that's why they've moved away, there is a high possibility that you might come back, because one of the person has not solved, the one of the persons has not got the solution to it.
Oh no! What is all this? I don't want this. I want to sit and. But even if I forgive, if someone else is not done with me, still that
Hmm.
person can come back to me, right?
Yes,
So what's
because
the point? Why should I even forgive them? If
no,
anyways that person is gonna.
it's not like that. For example, you can forgive somebody, but the person in front of you is not agreeing. They are not satisfied because the level of hurt they felt. Okay. For example, I've fought with somebody and I'm hurt. I'm deeply, deeply hurt. But the person is like, I'm sorry. Okay, I did bad to you. Please forgive me, and just walks away. But I have not solved. I
Mm,
have not got my solution. You've not really understood me. At least give me some time to make me realize what happened with me. Give me that space to understand, okay, whatever you have chosen may would have been right thing, but I am in that confusion. I'm in that state of anger and that state of hurt, and I'm not happy, and I'm all of this all over the place. Because of whom? Because you hurt me. Okay. But now you're saying, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and you're going, but I'm still in that hurt and I'm going to
yeah.
take time to heal it, right? And I'm always going to remember you as somebody I loved, but
Mhm.
somebody who hurt me the most.
Right.
So you are going to meet that person again. God will give you both the chances so that you'll solve this thing and you'll put an end to it. Until unless you'll put an end to it in a very nice way from both the sides, you are going to keep meeting this person in different forms. That could have been your annoying boss at office also.
Ah. You know, I was going through a reel or a video, and there was this girl who was explaining something about reincarnation, in which she said that, um, for example, you in this life, if you ever feel
Hmm.
that you don't want kids, you
Hmm.
don't want kids, you're done. Like you have a strong feeling that you are happy in your life, you don't feel the need to have kids, or you don't feel the need to raise kids or even adopt, for a matter of fact, not just your own, adopt,
Hmm.
or you just don't want kids at all, no matter how much family pressure you're having, no matter how much your other half also wants. But for example, you don't want kids at
Hmm.
all, like not even 1% you feel like you want kids, then that is your last birth. That's what I've heard. I'll share that video with you, in which she says, she's literally explaining that if you get a very strong feeling from inside that you don't want kids no matter what, maybe you're a very motherly, very nurturing, very
Hmm.
caring person from your nature, but you have a strong urge of not having kids, that
Hmm.
means that is your last birth and your journey is complete. And I was like, wow.
God. I don't know why, for some reason I feel that is true, definitely, because people who don't want to have a child are very matured. They're very forgiving. If you see, they are very forgiving. They will forgive people no matter how much they hurt. they are hurt, but they'll be like, "ठीक है यार, जाने दे, कोई बात नहीं." And other people around them, they'll be like, "What, are you stupid or what? Like,
Yeah.
please give some mukka and come back," or something like that. But you as a person would be like, "It's okay, I forgive. I let it go." And that is such a big sign of the fact that you've understood that you have to forgive and you have to love no matter what, and then you will find your end journey of being on the earth, maybe, as a
This
human.
this kid wala thing was really like, it hit me like really hard.
So Tara, all the things that I've spoken right now and all the things that you've done research and we've spoken about this topic, what are your opinions? What do you think, that is this even real? Like, even if there is like studies and theories and everything, what does your gut say about this?
If you look at it from this perspective or point of view, that there are so many people out there who are coming out and telling their truth and realities or their past lives, and where there are proofs, because people have traced the tracks and they have come to a conclusion where actually this has happened, this person used to live there, this situation had occurred. All of this that you listen continuously, and also with all this therapy, the psychiatric sessions where people, actually, people can't, I don't think people can just bluff like that. But because of all this, it feels like it can be definitely true, it can happen, this is true. But because I have not personally felt it, or I don't know anybody around me who's actually had an opinion, ki in my past life I was this or anything. I've never heard anybody of my personal or friends or family ever speak about anything like that. It's literally hard for me to completely believe in it,
Hmm.
because of the truths, because of the facts, because it's scientifically also proven at, to some extent. Half of me is like, oh my god, I need to believe it. But half of me is like, until and unless I actually feel or I observe or I go through it, or anybody of my family members or friends go through it, it's hard for me to completely believe in this thing that it exists. But like I said, I'm so like half two, I'm like keeping my legs on both the boats, because I cannot come to a conclusion whether it's true or not. Because one side there are solid facts, and on the other hand there's no proofs personally for me. So like I can only say that it might be or it might be not, but I am like not sure about it. What about you?
I think it's like 80-20 for me. Like 80% I believe it, 20% I don't believe it. It's because 20%, the reason is because what happens is that human brain, like we, have gone through a lot of stages. We
Yeah.
don't know actually where our origin is. There's a test, I don't remember exactly what test it is. You'll understand where you've actually come from, like your ancestors and everything, you'll understand. So what happens is that when you are being born, like when your generation goes ahead, lifetimes and all of that, there's a possibility or slight possibility that you might carry your grandparents' memory, you might carry your great grandparents' memory, because it is genetics. You come from them, and they might have gone through something like this, and that's why you have that memory, because you're carrying their blood, you're carrying their energy, you're carrying their bones maybe, for that matter. The 80% why I believe is because yes, there are people I've met and I feel like I know this person, I feel like I've met this person, and I feel like I've known this person so much. So that's why for me I think it's 80-20. So rebirth and reincarnation challenge how we see life and death, suggesting that our journey never truly ends. We've shared stories and beliefs that open up the possibility of living many lives.
Whether you believe or just find it fascinating, these ideas make us think deeply about our own existence. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, drop us a comment if you have ever felt a connection to a past life, and follow us on Spotify and Instagram. Stay curious and never stop questioning, because that's not
How we do it here.